Hey guys, this is Nate Hale with Rapscallion Brigade, and today we're going to try something a little different, just a little more leisurely way to look at some of the news stories, hot topics, or sometimes not so hot topics, things that people care about, or maybe things that you care absolutely nothing about. But it's things that interest me, and maybe some of the other members of the brigade will get in on this too. I'm not sure, but we're just trying something new today, and so I thought we would talk about a topic that's been in the, I guess, gaming news for a couple of days now. I've watched a few videos, read some articles. I'm sure you have too. I'm sure most of you probably know what's going on with EA shutting down Visceral Games and overhauling the Star Wars game. But I just wanted to look at a few things here that stand out to me in this Polygon article. Some of the quotes from EA, and just talk about a little bit about some things that are going on in my mind about this story. EA shutting down Visceral Games, overhauling Star Wars game, and you may have your own feelings about this, your own thoughts. And if you do, please feel free to comment in the comment section. Let's have a discussion about this. There's so many angles that you could look at when it comes to this story. You could talk about the fact that EA is shutting down a successful game studio. Visceral Games has been making some great games, and not only are we losing a game studio and losing out on what could have been an amazing Star Wars game, there's people losing jobs. And of course, they've said that they're going to try and find places for most of them in other areas so that they are not completely out of work, but some of them will wind up in the job search. And so that's always a bad thing when you have people losing jobs. And so that's one part of this story, one angle you could take as far as discussions about what's happening here. But look here, Electronic Arts is shutting down its Visceral Games studio and making major changes to the team's in development Star Wars project. Visceral has been working on an action-adventure game set in the Star Wars universe in some form since 2013. And of course, it mentions there that that's when EA and Disney announced their deal for Electronic Arts to make Star Wars games. It's been described as a story-based linear adventure in the style of Naughty Dog's Uncharted series. I'm on board. I would love that. I would love that game. I was really upset when the Battlefront, the first Battlefront came out, and while I did get a VR mission out of it, and I enjoyed that, I missed that single player experience. I was hoping for a single player campaign because not everything has to be online. And I've mentioned before that where I live, I don't have the best internet. As a matter of fact, I have terrible internet. And so I don't do a lot of online gaming. And so a lot of times when these awesome games come out and they're only online or only multiplayer, that makes me sad. But here we have an instance where EA had decided to go forward with a narrative-driven, single-player, linear experience, just an adventure game set in the Star Wars universe. And when I read that in the style of Naughty Dog's Uncharted, that just gets me ready to play that game. I was excited about that, and so I'm sad to see that go. But let me tell you why I'm sad about it, or what bothers me about this. Now look at the quote here. Throughout the development process, we've been testing the game concept with players, listening to the feedback about what and how they want to play, and closely tracking fundamental shifts in the marketplace. Now, I don't like what I'm reading here. That quote is just sounds like Why didn't you just say, we want to make Star Wars Destiny? That's all you had to say. You don't have to. You don't have to sugarcoat it or act like you have been doing this market research and these players, they really don't want a story, a narrative-based, story-based adventure game in the style of Naughty Dog's Uncharted. We've been talking to these players and they just don't want that. I find that hard to believe. Now, if you wanted to make your own version of Destiny, and let's face it, that's a lot of people are kind of chasing that dragon right now because that's a successful franchise, and the people that play Destiny pump a lot of money into that, and they enjoy that, and that's great. I don't even have the option to do that because of my internet situation, but I'm glad for those that are into that style of game and that they have such a good franchise to enjoy. The problem I have is that there's no reason for Electronic Arts to cancel, shut down this studio, cancel this game. Not cancel the game, but they're going to change it. They're going to completely kind of pivot, and you'll see that here in a second in the article. There's no reason for them to do this. Why not finish this game and then go make your version of Destiny if you want to? He says, it has become clear, we're right here if you're reading along, it has become clear that to deliver an experience that players will want to come back to and enjoy for a long time to come, we needed to pivot the design. I have a question. Why is it that you have to make that type of experience? Just make an experience that's an awesome story with great gameplay. And even if it is a little bit linear, and it's something that you're going to play through and then either trade in or sit back on your shelf if you're a collector, maybe you play through it again years down the line. Not everything has to be a games as a service. Okay, some things can just be a great story with great gameplay, something we can purchase and enjoy it for what it is, and then say, okay, I'm done with that. That was great. And then we can tell people about it, and word of mouth will spread, and maybe more people will buy your game. And not everything has to be a service or something that you can keep tapping for more and more money. That's a big part of what's going on here. And because you've decided to focus on that in particular, you've got a studio closed down, people out of work. You've got what looked like it was going to be an awesome game. Now we're just not going to know what it was going to be like because you're going to pivot, quote, pivot the design of it to make it more in line with something that you can make money continually with. I don't understand that. Just make both games. Just make your story-driven game and make your Destiny-style game. So they say, well, maintain the stunning visuals, authenticity in the Star Wars universe, and focus on bringing a Star Wars story to life. Well, I hope so. But you had a great studio already working on that. Importantly, he says, we are shifting the game to be a broader experience that allows for more variety and player agency, leaning into the capabilities of our Frostbite engine and reimagining central elements of the game to give players a Star Wars adventure of greater depth and breadth to explore. Okay, well, like I said, make that game, but leave this other one alone. They've been working on it for 4 years, and now, because of what you've done here, now it's going to be pushed back another few years. See, as part of that pivot, he says, EA is delaying the game. It was originally slated to launch in EA's 2019 fiscal year, which runs from April 2018 through March 2019. But it's been pushed back indefinitely. Why? What's the point of it? Just start a new game's development with this other studio. And just tell them, you don't have to announce this. You don't have to make it known or put in a press release. We're just going to make Destiny and put a Star Wars skin on it. You don't have to say that, but just go to this other studio and say, we want you to make Destiny with Star Wars, and let them do that. Leave this game alone. This game looks like it was going to be awesome. Now, I have no idea what it was or how actually it played or what the story was, but just the way it had been being talked about was interesting. And the fact that they were doing something that was a story-based linear adventure, well, that's right up my alley because I am almost stuck with single-player story-driven experiences with my particular internet. So I was excited for that, and I'm looking forward to Battlefront 2 with the story mode in it. But I won't get to play a bigger part of the game because most of it's going to focus on multiplayer. I know. I'm afraid that they're just throwing in a single player campaign just to say they have one rather than making a truly awesome experience. But anyway, what do you think about this particular story? What are your feelings on the Visceral Games being shut down, people losing their jobs? What do you feel about them deciding to overhaul this game and completely change, it looks like completely change what it was going to be? Um, how do you feel about games as a service? Well, these are all, these could be separate topics for separate videos, but it's all kind of rolled up into one in this story. So, what do you feel about that? Do you think a game should be created and published, and then you buy it, enjoy it, and move on to another game? Or do you think every game that comes out, which seems to be the growing trend lately, do you think all these games that come out need to be able to continually make money over time just to kind of make up for just how expensive they are to develop? Comment below and let's get a discussion started. I want to thank you for taking the time to listen to me ramble on about this story, and we may do some more of these in the future. But I look forward to reading your comments and interacting with you in the comments section. So thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and I look forward to bringing you more content very soon.